They still don't really have anyone that wants to be up there first, though, right? Like Lena's very squishy. You don't want her to be the one that gets gone on first. I suppose the counter argument to that is that you can just continuously run at people, get a pick off, and then transition that into an objective. But right now, they are going to, suffer a little bit if they just have to sit there and right click at towers without, any understanding of where the enemy team is. So something like a Phoenix can help with that because you can just get the Sunray on them from behind, make sure they're a little bit more sustainable. Undying can frontline, you can drop the Tombstone when you're trying to take these objectives and it's very hard to contest into it. Or they could just go for something in a position one role that is a little bit more beefy, like Alina can get pretty active on the map. They do go the Undying. So I think it's pretty good, right? Like the only downside for me is that now Clockwork doesn't really have to make a choice as to who he hook shots. He just wants to get on that Snapfire every time to, interrupt any kind of Mortimer's Kiss contribution to the team fight.
This makes it really difficult now for Boom and how they want to flex. I mean, we saw XctN play the Dawnbreaker yesterday. I'm just trying to think of like a range hero that they can lean into the Undying. I really believe you can't pick another strength hero and you can't pick another melee. Otherwise, Undying's lane is more than likely up against 2 melee. And that's pretty much
a Shadow Shaman with Falcon Blade, though.
That could actually be it, because maybe that's enough stats. And Shadow Shaman's right click's pretty goddamn strong too. So maybe Undying actually just can't man fight you. Maybe Mushi's actually is next level.
Maybe he was just a year ahead of his time, It's been a while, that was kind of when Falcon Blade had just been introduced. If it was Shadow Shaman, I would have loved it. It's looking more like being a position 5 Clockwork, which I don't hate. I think Clockwork, I mean, I think he's underutilized, but the thing is with all these damn new heroes, they all have some form of escape just to be able to get out of the cogs, right? Like Marcy can jump out of it, Dawnbringer can use the hammer to get out of it. You've got Void Spirit who can just assimilate out of it as well. Simple things like that just prevent you from being super effective. So it doesn't look like they have too much of that on their lineup right now. So it's going to be a little better at least. You just be able to get in on top of the Snapfire. But the Mirana, it's a good combination as well. The roaming trio of Clockwork, Dragon Knight, and Mirana should be able to get a decent amount done. And then I feel like this kind of sets up the Dawnbreaker to be that position 1 where, he's the get out of jail free card. He wants to keep farming, but worst case scenario, he can join the team.
Well, they actually even feel like they are still looking for at least a core at the moment with the Phantom Lancer and the Puck being banned out. So they're not even certain because XctN, he's played the DK, he's played the Dawnbreaker as a 1. This man's so hard to ban for.
Radiant team pick.
Yeah, for sure. Getting rid of the Morphling. Don't hate it. They don't have too much in the form of burst damage. So I feel like that's the thing that they were trying to address with the Terrorblade ban as well. Of course, that Sunder would have been able to get him out of dodge a fair few ways, although they got some decent chain lockdown. So maybe that's what Execration are going to go for. Just something, again, that's quite hard to kill. They don't really have anything that is able to build into the mana break. Oh, they've actually banned the Medusa themselves. I thought that would have been a nice pick for them.
I'm just thinking if they go down a ranged route to combine up with the Undying, or if you're happy with Lina being the late game win condition. Because they DK Clocks, definitely heroes that can jump, but in regards to like a safe lane carry, they're going to go for the Spectre.
It's not amazing, I'll be honest. Like, it's a good combination. Like, the laning stage should be fine. And, it gives them that timing that if this pushing power of the Undying, the Beastmaster, the Lina, and the Snapfire doesn't come off, then it gives them that, the plan B. Remaining. But, like, I see Spectre games. Obviously, there's great core-to-core matchups, but I see Spectre being amazing when it's against these supports that just have nothing in the form of escape. And you've got a Mirana who can leap away. You've got a Dragon Knight who's pretty sustainable. You've got a Dawnbreaker who, can look to get away a little bit with a hammer. And, again, worst-case scenario, you can just use your ultimate to somewhere else on the map. And Clockwork, like, it's a position 5 Clockwork. It doesn't really matter all that much, but you've still got, Battery Assault, Cogs, Hookshot to be able to maybe get out of jail free.
So is there anything you feel like they need to fill the void with the last pick, and
I was.
I guess Necrophos.
I was gonna say it, but like it's not like anything groundbreaking, right? Necro is like the big counter to the Spectre. It just depends on how FBZ is going to do in the lane. That's the big issue, right? Because you've got an Undying. He's able to deal an okay amount of magic damage with the Soul Rip. If he gets a couple of levels into that, I feel like this game, it's probably going to be like 2 points in Soul Rip, and then he's going to need to try and skill up a few more in the Tombstone just to assist with that pushing power that I was talking about before, right? It feels like every major objective, they'll probably got one tier 1 tower for free, but other than that, if they're looking to take mid tier 1, for example, they'll need to drop the Tombstone for that, and kind of just to dissuade the enemy team from trying to deal with it. So that's going to be Tim's main role. He needs to make sure that he can use that leap extra attack speed to deal with the Tombstone quick fast, and you need to have this roaming trio of Mushi, Yopaj, and Tims to be able to get ganks on, particularly Marb Spectre.
Do you feel like Boom's lineup just doesn't look as easy to execute as Execration's?
I mean, I feel like Execrations is just very clear about exactly what it wants to do. They want to have a good laning stage. The Beastmaster into the Clockwork. Was it Clockwork Dawnbreaker? Is that the?
Yeah.
Was it CTM? I didn't see if you picked it. Yeah. So like the boars aren't really gonna have too much risk of dying here. So that's the thing that I'm a little worried about. So I feel like all the lanes are looking pretty good for Execration. It's just, are they going to be able to convert beyond that? Because let's be honest, they haven't had the greatest records so far in this pro series. I think they're at 2-6 with their games record. Yeah, 2-6, having lost 2 2-0s against Motivate Trust. Yeah, good team. They also lost 2-0 to Army Geniuses in 2 60-minute plus games, and then they've gone 1-1 against Polaris, and I think one more 1-1 that I might be missing against Nigma Galaxy.
Yep.
So, this one could go either way. Both teams are using a stand-in, but I like Execration's draft better. It just comes down to how they're going to be able to execute this key timing where, Yopaj, Mirana, and Clockwork are going to be roaming and trying to cut off the head of the beast, basically. And that doesn't ever necessarily even have to be the Spectre. It can be Tino, right? Because if you take out Tino, a whole lot of their pushing power gets reduced. It gives you more time for the Necro to get stronger and stronger, because he's the main counter to what they're really looking to do here on Execration. Like, if Necro is strong, Spectre has a much worse game.
So do you feel like we shouldn't put too much attention on the fact that the Dawnbreaker is a position 1, like more than likely the win condition's going to come through with the Necrophos?
I think so. I think Necro, like FBZ, he's shown time and time again that he can play a very solid game. I'd say he's one of the 2, maybe 3 S-tier offlaners within the Southeast Asian region, along with the likes of Ice and KP. But it's still a tough task, because this lane is not easy with the Undying that you're coming up against.
I was highlighting, though, I wanted to see 2 ranged heroes, and they have that at least in regards to be able to match up versus the hero. I think Mirana is one of the better supports, especially in the lane.
Especially with this Blightstone. Yep. Especially with Blightstone. So you're just going to be ticking away. Doesn't matter who. He might even prioritize a little bit more harassing Marb and just ignoring RR.
Well, they did only come with 1 self to the lane, which was on Tim's. The nice thing about the Necrophos is that, especially with a lane that's going to be consistently spamming abilities, if you have a stick, then you're A-OK. Top lane, a little bit of battle break going out between Execration and Boom. Once again, it's really just either team really trying to teeter on the edge of who can come out ahead in the resource department.
I really like this itemization here from Tim's going into the Blightstone. A lot of Miranas would just go their standard cookie cutter build where they're like, oh, I'm going to build an urn super early on. I'll get a couple of the components for that. No, he realizes that the main threat right now is just trying to get as much done to counter the harass that RR's trying to get into them.
And meanwhile, mid, how do you feel like this matchup's going to fare between the DK and the Lina? Because, Lina's been nerfed a decent amount throughout the past couple of patches as, well, Execration picking up first blood down bottom. RR combined with the Spectre is able to find a big kill on Tim's.
It is. I mean, that's the downside of not having this earn style build that I was talking about, is that you don't have stats. You know, he was just holding on to a little bit of regen, a couple of branches, sure, but that Blightstone doesn't provide you anything in the form of that. So if Undying's able to get good positioning on you prior to level 2, then you're going to be in a little bit of strife. So the fact that they were able to get that timing out, make sure that he wasn't level 2, and they'll still try and delay it a little bit. He can look to arrow this Wild Ring Ripper if he wants, but I think he doesn't want to split the experience together with RR.
Well, they are setting up top though. Mushi kind of hiding on the back line, trying to get full use out of the battery. So this is the nice thing about the Clockwork being in the 5, is that you've got the full distance of the safe lane to utilize to chase heroes down. But you know, Tino and BDZ, when they can have enough boards and find the levels, and they can start to stand their ground and man fight the Clockwork.
Yeah, for sure.
They're actually going to go back in.
Yeah, they hooked him in a little bit here, and they found him. Might even get 2.
That's a cool combo. Just cogs into the Celestial Hammer. You can't really escape from the Starbreaker either. XctN picking up the double. Instantly, see Mushi recognizes his role. He needs to reset the creep equilibrium. Unfortunately, he's got no camps to play with, though. So even though they did lose a couple of heroes, they'll come back to a huge wave.
They will. I mean, I feel like that's
maybe get a kill mid, actually, in fact. My god. Yopaj. Not expecting that. I mean, maybe it just thought the bottle rotation, they were just coming to refill and didn't have enough damage themselves. But honestly, I feel like you're happy with those 2 desktop. You refill the bottle mid, you get a big kill on Yopaj, and Tino, he's got so many waves now to just soak experience.
He does, but XctN, I mean, I know it's early days, 3.5 minutes in. He's already got like a 500 net worth lead over his next closest opponent on Execration. So XctN, he's doing just fine up here. Imagine if when you threw that hammer, you couldn't hit creeps because your hammer's gone. I think the Dawnbreaker just starts punching creeps instead.
Yeah, there's I don't know. I'm just a huge fan of right now on how Boomer utilizing this Dawnbreaker as well with the flex. Yopaj. Bit of a fight by the water runes. Mushi trying to help out Yopaj as best as he can. The 2-man cogs like that, but unfortunately the reposition factor, the snap fire, just makes it a little bit too difficult. But yeah, back on the Dawnbreaker, I think we've seen any XctN squad and draft has really thrived on the fact of having flexibility super early on and just regardless in their draft. You know, I've always seen like an early opener and not knowing where they're going, and it's continuing to be that trend so far in this Pro Series.
Yeah, for sure. Another trend is the DCs. You know, they were plaguing Yango and Galacticos yesterday. Didn't stop them from being able to get that clean 2-0 against Polaris, but hopefully it's not the case again here for Execration. 3 people already DC'd. So with how this game's gone overall, I think Boom can actually be relatively happy with how things have gone so far. Like, yes, the Dragon Knight did end up going down, but he's still got the net worth lead over this Lina. A little bit behind on experience, but that doesn't really matter all that much. It's just about the Dawnbreaker, right? You need to have a really good early game because you are one of those heroes, especially if you're played in the position 1 or position 2 role, that can fall off a little bit as it gets to the later stages of the game. So the fact that XctN has succeeded in that first little objective that he has for this game is a good sign.
I'm trying to... Do you remember the itemization that we saw from XctN's Dawnbreaker yesterday? I'm trying to remember.
I think it was Echo Saber into a BKB, perhaps? And then maybe a Halberd after that?
Mid lane. Bob's getting dived on the tower. RR's rotation's enough to keep him alive. XctN will also be okay. So we're just seeing lane starting to deflate early on. I mean, we're only about to be 5 minutes in. It feels like this bottom lane is pretty much a wash. Like, what do you do? To Necrophos against a Spectre, do you just continue to leave Mob solo, or do you swap the lanes? Like, what's the go?
Well, I think they would have hoped. I mean, the reason you pick an Undying is because you want to do well on the laning stage, right? But if you're not going to get kills on FBZ, it doesn't really matter all that much for anything. So the fact that they gave up their first blood for Tims, yeah, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. As long as FBZ's farming, I think Boom are totally cool with this. Going for a kill onto RR as we talk about it. Misses the arrow, though.
Wouldn't mind seeing them cut the wave, and yeah, they're going to do just that on RR. some of the creeps will start to tank up the battery assault, which will give RR an opportunity to make into the tree line. But Mushi's still second point in battery assault's enough.
Mob needs to get out of here, I think. I don't think anyone's really in a position to
Tim's
rejoin,
gonna find
especially
him.
now that you've TP'd mid on Bob here.
Who's found who? Maybe it's Mob that's found Tim's.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Alright, they're just baiting. They know Cookie's on cooldown. Bob's staggered as well, but here comes the global aspect thanks to XctN's Dawnbreaker. The +1, too much for them to handle in Execration. They need some assistance, and they'll get none of that. The Scythe to cut through RR, and Spectre finally out of the lane, but the tower has been the price.
Yeah, I mean, that siege creep stayed alive the entire time. That was the benefit of cutting the wave there with FBZ, Tim's, as well as Mushi. And yeah, Spectre not only nearly dies, but also just spends a couple of minutes there, sorry, about a minute, missing 2 complete waves. So you still got the experience for it, sure, but that's not what's important at this stage of the game. And look at how it's affected his net worth. He's way down at the bottom of the cores right now.
It's just, with how you want to play Dota with a Beastmaster and Undying lineup, it's just, Undying, like you were saying before, he secures your lane. This hero plays off the fact that he's such a strong laning support that your weaknesses come to the mid to late game are made up because your carry has so much net worth from babysitting him. But and then you have an offlaner like the Beastmaster. This hero really relies on getting an early tower, and then you can't leave that lane. A Beastmaster is a hero that wants to play with his summons, wants to play with the Hawk advantage. So it's just so difficult for them to swap them up and get a better matchup here, and we're seeing why there's already a 2,000 net worth lead.
Yeah, I mean, what's Bob got coming out to him? It's just a magic wand. He's looking to build into the Boots of Travel. Honestly, I think that they can look to make a play around this mid lane in the next little bit. I want Undying to be level 4 at least before they look to make that happen. You can see where the wards are starting to go down here from RR. They're trying to get a pick off in to be able to then connect into this mid lane and use the fact that you've got this Inner Beast aura leveled up. You've got the Haunt now available on Marb. Lena, of course, very strong at just being able to push lanes, but I still feel like you need that deterrent in the Tombstone. It's even a little stronger now than it used to be. Now that level 1, it takes 5 attacks to destroy instead of 4. Well, this DD could be the key timing that they've been waiting for.
It's going to be really scary, though, when Yopaj picks up the Blink Dagger. You were highlighting that they're more than likely going to have a roaming trio with getting pickoffs, Clockwork, DK, along with the Mirana. But now if DK has a decent timing the Blink, then maybe, depending on the target you go for, all you need is those 2 heroes. And it's just going to make starting fights and deathballing that much easier.
Yeah, for sure. They're even, I mean, Boom have the luxury with this Dawnbreaker just being able to join any fight that she wants to give Mushi a little bit of farm. It's nearly 9 minutes and he's nearly reached level 6 already without needing the tome. So nicely done there.
Just feels, I mean, FBZ, how he's looking on the Necrophos at the moment. So we'll be working on the mech. I know it's dire straits at the moment for Execration, but are there any silver linings?
Oh, well, this could be it. They've found out the Dawnbreaker actually with the Primal Roar used the first time. Haunt used as well. I mean, the thing is now you can't really push. Like, you can see that they're pinging the tower there on the Snapfire, but, I mean, you used your Haunt, you used your Primal Roar, and he's up in 15 more seconds. So I don't think you're in a position to be able to push this now. Like, it's good that you're able to find him, sure, but it's not really going to result in anything.
I think it's going to be super important with how Tino can place these Hawks just to scout out the aggressive front from Beast and maybe get a pick off like that, because I really feel like they need to just deter this game for quite some time. I'd favor them in the late game with the Lena, with the Spectre, but the issue is, are you going to get to that stage? Boom are a team that do an exceptional job with the net worth lead after the lanes, and we're going to see them try and put their stamp now with the respawn.
For me, it all depends. Like, yes, late game Spectre is strong. It all depends on how FBZ is going. And right now, he's top of the network. He's already been able to pick up a mechanism as well. So as long as he's not the one that gets gone on to be able to start a lot of these fights, he's going to be totally fine.
Well, Tino's the one.
Benefit of having Yopaj, yeah.
Started on the river.
Reapers?
Just drop it. Why not? FBZ.
I mean, now you don't have to worry about anything being pushed for 45 seconds. And this is your siege creep wave as well, the one that you want to be pushing with. So it's a big victory for Boom, the fact that they were able to catch him out there.
Don't see how they defend this tower. I mean, you're going up against DK, ulti still half duration. FBZ's got mech. Like, this is go time. Now it's time to ball up on Boom. You know, maybe you can find Mushi hiding the wings, or maybe Mushi's found RR. They'll drop the Mortimer kisses from afar. They're actually just going to look to reset their position, even though the arrow does get the connection on dying. So with that opener, they're going to look to go back in. They're pretty immobile at the moment from Boom, so they won't just get the kill on the Undying. But still, how do you counteract this on Execration? It looks like they're just happy with at least losing no casualties. But the big issue is that tower has fallen.
Tower's fallen. CTM was farming the entire time. They go for a smoke immediately. They realize, all right, well, we've got our Primal Roar available again. Bob, he doesn't, he just got his Boots of Travel delivered to him, but he needs to go back to base to refill it and then try and catch someone out. You can see some of the deep vision has been able to find out where Tims and Mushi are walking around, so they're going to try and avoid that. They're looking to try and find this this Dawnbreaker if they can.
Not an easy kill though. 1600 health.
Especially with Mushi backseating. This is just great support play coming up from Mushi. Breaks the smoke.
Yeah, Mushi's played incredibly well this game. That's the position you want to be in.
He was really good in that previous tower push as well. He was positioned perfectly as well. He was in the trees to the left of the tier 1 tower because FBZ was positioned next to him. So he was kind of baiting them to try and go on FBZ because, like I mentioned, if you don't go on if you don't go on FBZ, he's just going to get his mech off, he's going to get the heals off, and you're not going to kill anyone. So they were kind of baiting him to stand around there instead, and it just meant that they were able to not necessarily get a pick off, but stop the aggression that was coming in onto FBZ, and it left Yopaj to just freely hit the tower along with the siege creep. So Boom are doing a bunch of really nice things here.
Blink reveal, and that's a key
that's
target.
What you want to be.
Beautiful pick off. There's the ulti to follow. Mushi's even going to look to jump up on the high ground. BDZ as positioning. They're going to be cautious of Bob, and now with the Tombstone, you've got to think twice about Boom from taking the fight with the area denial that Radiant have at the moment. They're going to look to try and split it up, target down the Tombstone, but Mob's doing an exceptional job to protect it. Now to the western side, CTM, she's in trouble as well, but also Bob's going to join him in the afterlife as Yopaj has had ample time to stand his ground and stack up the burn, and now he's going to be able to fly over as well thanks to Tumblr's toy FBZ standing hand in hand. The sustain through these two heroes is too much for them to bear.
Did Lena die? I feel like she died a fair way away from the rest of the team. I think it was a Elder Dragon form, just damage over time that ended up ticking her out at the end. A little unfortunate there. I mean, it was one of these things that could have been an amazing team fight for Boom, considering you knew you didn't have the Beastmaster, and it was just one of those little things that... I liked what Mushi was doing, right? He was trying to wait to use the cogs until after the Fire Snap cookie came out, but unfortunately he was just a little bit off the mark, wasn't able to push them back while they were around that staircase choke point.
Oh, Mob. Have they got the damage, though? 1500 health. No reinforcements coming over.
The stun, though, the
So
centaur.
with this time, it's going to be enough to bring him down. I mean, I was a bit worried that they would not have had the damage. But yeah, no one just came over to TP in and provide some assistance. That was also a smoke behind the tier 1 tower where Radiant had vision. So they just, unfortunately, I guess no one paying attention to that location.
Yeah, a little unfortunate there. It's the exact thing that you want to make happen, right? Like this roaming trio that I keep talking about. It's just going to get kill after kill after kill. FBZ is going to focus continuously on farming. He's going the Guardian Greaves, which is a little cheaper now. I still feel like it doesn't really provide all that much. Like, what are you really dispelling when you're looking to get it off in this one? Nothing really. It's just like it's for slot efficiency as opposed to any kind of active usefulness, if that makes sense.
More fuel for my fire.
What do you feel like Execration are able to do to really come back in this game? Is it just continuing to stall with pushing out the side lanes, or are they in a position where they can actually take a fight?
Maybe they want to wait until you've got this Vladimir's offering on Tino. It's gotten a little bit cheaper, actually. I think 100 gold cheaper in the most recent patch. And then to balance that out, the Helm of the Overlord got 100 gold more expensive, but the build up into it is a little cheaper. So it means that you get the benefit of that Vlad's slightly earlier. And I feel like that's what they could look to play around, because they've got a lot of heroes that are going to be attacking very quickly when you've got that Inner Beast Aura to be able to take into account. So might be able to catch Boom off guard with that additional burst that you might not be expecting.
And for
I think maybe playing around top side. I mean, they've got this siege creep now, right? So you can look to play around this timing here.
Still difficult. We're seeing for Tino. You know, the farm slowing down. Overlord. See how late of a timing that's going to be. But the big issue is it feels like, I mean, Tino's level 9. So not what you would be hoping for. Especially for the Beastmaster. But game's kind of stalled out at the moment. Even though it felt like Boom are definitely the pacemakers with this blink on the Dragon Knight. But Yopaj just felt like he wants to just continue to find that next set of items.
They've spotted out Mushi roaming around a little bit here with the Alpha Wolf. I was wondering if they might look to group up a little bit here on Boom and, you know, make a rotation as soon as BDZ revealed himself on the bottom side of the map. Because, you know, this is a support, right? Like, you're not going to feel too worried about him just sitting down here and farming a little bit further. It's a Snapfire. Sure, the hook shot's going to... sorry, the 4-star is going to be nice.
Stalking the Lina right now. A jump in for Mushi, and Yopaj just plenty of control to set up for Tim's arrow. Key pick off and Yopaj. He's hunted for more. They have detection. They do not. So Ara hiding himself away.
Just on Mushi, he might put a sentry ward down just to be able to use with the place it on the low ground and then rocket flare for the high ground vision.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Is even just wanting to block up this ancient camp. Why not?
Structures are fortified.
If you've got the advantage, put the foot on the throat. Make sure that they can't come back.
Do whatever you can.
Missing. Well, that's what a Dawnbreaker does. I mean, he's going to Radiance this game, actually. Something a little different here.
Yeah, how do you feel about the Radiance for the Dawnbreaker? Is it just the read that maybe these fights are going to be super drawn out? Or is the evasion necessary?
It's drawn out, but a lot of their damage still is physical, right? Like, you've got... Again, I'm going to mention the Inner Beast aura again, but... if you're attacking a lot more often and you're able to evade a lot of those attacks, then I feel like that's going to be pretty damn effective.
Yeah, with the 45 bonus attack speed. We're going to see... It's definitely an interesting form of itemization for XctN, but it just continuing to show how kind of cool this series at the moment with the flexibility you can have either as the role or even itemization in those respected roles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he went... I mean, that was the game where he went Armlet, Echo Saber, BKB, Moonshard was his item progression that he had last time around. So, you know, that was when they were in a pretty damn dominant position. This time around, it's not quite as much. Still 7k lead, 18 minutes in, looking very promising for them. But, yeah, now, Boom, they can just continue to sit back if they want to. With the CTM, he's, how far away? 800 gold away from finishing up the full Radiance. So... things looking like being in a really nice position for them. They're not having to worry too much about how many ancient camps Execration are going to be able to get in the meantime, because you know, they've only just been able to deward it. So they're just getting richer and richer.
Once again, looking for the jump. Great positioning from Tims. Finds the arrow connection, but this Spectre a little bit more tanky than he was previously. They're also going to run into Mushi once again. Clockwork position himself on the backline, but he's going to be A-okay with the rest of the team showing up instantly. The Solar Guardian heal combined with FBZ overwhelms Execration behind their safe lane tower.
Sneaky boy, Mushi, just getting in on the back lines. No one realized it. I mean, you don't want to be putting an Observer Ward up in this area at this point in time, but yeah. The Hawk perhaps not used to its full effect. They're going to lose a tier 2 tower. That'll allow them to take outpost control before the 20-minute mark. So that's a lot of experience that they're going to be missing. And I mean, honestly, I think they could even just look to go tier 2 tower mid, tier 1 tower top. Roche is the sort of timing that I would be looking to play around if I was Boom.
They just completed the Radiance as well from CTM. So items continuing to flow through. It looks like FBZ did switch up the build and didn't commit for the Greaves.
I prefer that.
Yeah. But how do you actually have any damage flow out from Execration? I think Bob, like I understand the Lincolns, especially against the setup from the DK and the Scythe is big issues, but are they gonna have damage? I don't know. Like you worried it's too weak?
I am worried it's a little bit too weak, and Marb, now he's picked up the Aghanim Scepter, so at least you've got that in the form of damage potential, but there are so few heroes that are going to be off on their own. Like, Yopaj is a rare occasion where he's kind of solo, but it's a DK, right? You're a strength hero with Dragon Blood, and if you don't chain lock him down, he's got the BKB. Hell, even the Raindrops will be able to provide him with that little bit of extra survivability, but Smoke fails. They might even lose BDZ for it.
Mushi looking to connect from top. He's going to run straight into them, Mob. Looks like he's going to pounce as well with the reveal of the Aghanims. Now, do they feel like they can stick around? They did pop that outer dragon form. Yopaj. Nice micro, Tino. Trying to block out the arrow. It's not going to matter. Still actually connects on the Lina. Now with the burst coming through from the scythe. Not enough to clean off Bob, but still with the BKB too late. Yopaj locks onto his target, and now they've overwhelmed Execration once again in a team fight. The Mortimer Kisses can rain down Hellfire, but it won't do anything to turn this back around. Maybe Marb can at least get some retribution with cleaning off Tims. But still, the consequences, they've lost 3 heroes.
Yeah, I don't think you care all
maybe
that
even
much.
Marb as well. Yeah, Mushi. A hook shot to catch him. Is it enough damage for the cogs? Yes, sir. Welcome back, Mushi.
The old man still got it, and you know, it's just he's got this great map presence. You know, he knows where they want to be at every single point in time. He knows the wind conditions around them. I think it was the right decision to Roche. It was just that you got caught out a little bit too early there on Bob, and it meant that he wasn't able to ramp up the damage that you need with the Fiery Soul.
And they are just... we're just seeing how difficult it is to take fights. Like, the Mortimer Kisses did a decent amount of damage. In fact, the Dawnbreak, sorry, the Snapfire was second highest in DPS for Radiant throughout that team fight. But I don't know what you do, man. Like, Dawnbreak is so sustainable, especially with this itemization. You know, Suns, Radiance, you've got the Luminosity. FBZ's about to have a heart. You're going up against a goddamn Dragonite. Like, these kills are just not going to get any easier.
No, I think the thing that needs to happen is that, well, Tino needed to have a better laning stage, if I'm being perfectly honest. You know, they weren't able to transition that all that well. Mushi walking around again, just trying to break any kind of smokes, because they know that they've got this active lineup that can play around the Primal Roar. So the fact that Tino wasn't able to have as good of an early game as he might have liked is
common.
FBZ here.
You do not kill FBZ. My guy just picked up a heart. CTM, he knows this. He's going to jump on forward. They'll cut him down, at least attempt the Lacuna blade, but what are you doing, guys? It's just tickling me. I've got a half health to play with. You got a dead Spectre as well. FBZ, he's made so much space, but now finally Boomer being able to show up. A 2-for-1 trade, but more blood in the water as BDZ is once again doing a lot of damage here with the Mortimer Kisses, but soon they'll stalk him out in the tree line and bring him down for the price of the ages.
I mean, but you see the difference though, right? At least that time Bob was able to do some damage, and you finally killed FBZ. So, you know, it's something going their way. They were even able to reclaim the Aegis, but it's another one of these engagements where you don't get off all of your spells. Like, Undying doesn't die as quickly if he's just able to pop that Flesh Golem, you know? And it's just the poor laning stage coming back to really bite them.
Radiant's top tower is
It's just going to get harder and harder as well. I mean, this is a lineup that can snowball out of control. FBZ, he might only be 3rd in net worth, but I'd say he's number 1 in terms of impact this game.
Oh, yeah. It's a hero that Necrophos doesn't seem too goddamn easy to play. I mean, any really slow-paced hero, you have to be so perfect with your positioning. But like you were saying towards the start of this game, you know, FBG S-tier offlaner was a huge pickup for anyone in the offseason. And we are just seeing this man has the giant, the biggest hero pool I feel like I see right now. And any hero he plays at such a goddamn high rate.
Yeah, for sure. They've even picked up that Solar Crest now as well, so providing them with that little bit of extra defense. That's the big thing that I'm really seeing here is Mushi. He's walking around underneath an Observer Ward. Has to be a little bit careful. He's able to get the 4-star away. Very nicely done. But yeah, like, how do you kill someone now that you've got the Solar Crest as well on top of everything else? The amount of save that they've got on Boom just makes them have a much more well-rounded draft.
Oh. Easy pickoff. Once again, you see the setup, Dragon Tail into Arrow. Meanwhile, CTM just picking up the level 20. So now has the -1 Luminosity with the talent, and this hero just gets that much more difficult to deal with.
Even has the Sanj completed first as the component there, so wants to make sure that he can get as much healing done as possible.
Oh, who have they caught out? Tino. Forced to roar, get himself out to safety.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And would you look at that? 25 minutes, siege creep wave, pushing in. You've still got about a third of the duration of the Elder Dragon form. That's a tier 2 tower gone as well. They'll pop the fortify for it, but again, you've got a Necrophos here. If he wants to, he can use the mechanism, but he won't need to.
Spectre is Orchid completed. Who's target number uno for Mob? Who you got to bring down here?
Probably Mirana is the one, just because it's the only one it feels like he can solo kill at this point. I mean, he's got the Solar Crest for a little bit of extra armor, but not too much in the form of any other stats or HP.
Just seems like, I don't know, these fights are going to be very difficult for them to come back through. Bob. They do have heroes that want to take up a lot of attention. We saw previously Lina can start to dish out a lot of damage in these fights, but once again is still building very defensively. You know, hasn't committed for the Lincolns just yet. If she does go down that route, then we might see how difficult it is for them to really start killing off these cores.
He dodged a bullet there. He was standing a little bit too far on the front line for my liking and could have been gone on by Boom, but considering it's nighttime, didn't quite have the vision to make the conversion happen. He's actually going to walk into this Moonlight Shadow here. Boom might even just avoid it entirely, but he sees the Heartstop Roar on himself.
Just wait a little bit. Let the man drop the Observer Ward, get the price for one.
Oh.
It's taking a while. Who else they kill? They actually get a bigger target in the Lina up top and also picking up the Undying, so boom. A great movement with their Moonlight Shadow trying to swing up to top, and they are two big pickoffs.
Yeah, and I would... Crazy call, right? But I would say this is GG now as well. They've picked up the Silver Edge on the Dragon Knight, so even the Spectre, even though she's somewhat tanky, is definitely not going to be a threat that you're considering all that much. You can quite easily pop her at the start of these team fights, and it's not like they have the same level of save even as what Boom have. They've got the Dawnbreaker, they've got the double heal coming through from the Necro as well. Even beyond that, you're about to hit up onto level 15 on the Mirana, so that completely OP talent in my eyes, the plus 20 evasion on your Moonlight Shadow is going to come into the equation as well.
First full set of barracks now down. Boom, completely uncontested with that push, and they have to be so confident. It should be an easy closeout of this game one. I mean, do you feel like Execration just one more desperation fight and then the tapping out after that? Because this is a rough one.
Well, they're going for smoke, and they're going towards, I'm assuming, XctN. They want to try and find him, and that's exactly where BDZ is pinging on the map as well. It's the right choice in my eyes. Will they kill him? Probably not. But I feel like you need some sort of way just to remove that Solar Guardian from the equation. And, you know, you can just have a sense of XctN's map presence as well. He's like, well, they've been off the map for a while. We've got some pretty decent deep vision up that's going to stop them from advancing anywhere while being in vision. So there has to be a smoke. I got to get back to the base. He's been able to wait for the Solar Guardian to come back online. So now he's just playing the exact same role that they've had success with for the first 29 minutes of the game. Sitting on the back lines, behind the rest of his team, and engaging when the get out of jail free button needs to be pressed.
And now Boom, it's their turn to look to make a move. Yopaj, a long wrap around.
He's a speedy boy. Even has that level 20, extra 20 strength, 440 health.
Oh, that's showing.
That comes alongside.
There we go.
He's got the Arcane Rune as well.
They're going to get set up on the high ground. Play around your vision right now for Execration. Yopaj instantly jumping in, going to try and deal with the Beastmaster. Cookie will reset his positioning away from the arrow, but the damage too overwhelming. Tino still gets a roar before the death, but what is that really going to do for the story of the team fight? As it's trailing further to the northern side, Bob attempts to beekeep into the TP out. He'll be successful, but the rest of the team, their fate's still undecided. Hookshot actually off the mark for Mushi. It's a bit unfortunate there that he will whiff point blank. But nonetheless, Execration still 3 for 1.
We'll give Mushi a pass for that one. He's been doing a lot of good stuff this game. I think even FBZ, as good as he is, I think he was kind of forgetting the fact that the Reaper's Scythe no longer pierces spell immunity. While Bob was TPing away under the BKB in his face, he was trying for the Reaper's Scythe to try and interrupt it. But still, another very good team fight for Boom. They were able to catch out the key target in that Beastmaster, remove a lot of the team fight, the BKB piercing control, the inner Beast Aura. And yeah, it's looking like the scales are just going to swing further in Boom's favor. 99% win probability at this stage.
It's really felt like it's just been a very methodical game from Boom, though. They've had the net worth lead the entirety of the way. You know, for the first 15 minutes, it was a very slow death almost, where they were continuing to grow at like 1,000 every couple of minutes. They were just out efficiencying on the map, and it feels like we see this way too often from Boom, however.
Now, my question is, who do you even give this shard over to? Probably CTM, just to be able to provide him with that extra magic immunity during the Starbreaker. And now you've even got the Aghanim Scepter completed for Yopaj. So he's a pretty tanky boy. Might be him that takes the shard. No, he takes the Aegis instead. All right.
Have you been able to see too much of the Necrophos Aghanim Shard? I haven't gotten much an opportunity to really watch it.
Yeah, I've seen it a little bit. It's pretty effective. It's just another way, kind of like the decrep, right? To be able to protect a teammate. So, you know, someone gets gone on, it's really only going to be the Lina that's going to be able to output any kind of significant damage there. So it's nice if they finally do get caught out of position, but it continues to not be the case. Like, they're only just now at 32 minutes in going to take their second tower of the game while Boom's pushing up onto your high ground.
Yopaj CD instantly going to look to jump as well. The damage solely will be enough. In fact, FBZ, the one to be claimed with the kill. You're gonna have to force something out here. You see just across the map, Spectre, Dawnbreaker. They don't have to be there. This global factor. As Yopaj can brute force him down. Now he's died pretty deep, but still, he's so goddamn healthy, especially with the Aegis. Just gonna look to turn. As soon as Bob shows up, they're gonna look to prioritize Alina to push her further away. You know, but the BKB's out. They have to target the Tombstone, but up to the western side, they've killed off the Spectre. The break into the Scythe. Plenty of damage to go through the tanky one. And now, objective-based gaming. As these sets of barracks soon to fall, they're going to force up BDZ back into the fray as Boom just a methodical beatdown with a 32-minute GG.
Really solid all throughout, and you know, despite it getting to the late game, you still had Dawnbreaker sitting at the very top of the net worth there. So yeah, CTM, he really loves to excel on these heroes that can, you know, just being a bit more greedy, farming away from the rest of the team, and then joining in when you need to. You know, that emergency button that needs to be pressed. It just fits his playstyle as position 1 so well. So the Dawnbreaker, the Nature's Prophet, those are the heroes that we've seen him do best on in recent times. So we'll see if teams start to, you know, maybe address that a little bit further. I would be first phase banning the Weaver and the Dawnbreaker, just because I feel like that provides the most flexibility for Boom here, with being able to take it away from the hands of Tims as well as CTM.
100%. I was just going to hit on the same point as well, that I really feel like they're using the Dawnbreaker in a way that we're seeing not many teams do, and look what they can do across the map. I mean, you're farming so safely in your own jungle, and then you've got heroes looking to find kills. A Clockwork, a Dragon Knight, you can pair up with them. Just this opener provides them so much with how support and a core can play at least itemization very differently, but also how they can just have this +1 factor, and it's really overwhelming in a lot of these fights. I want to give some props also to Mushi. I feel like he well and truly deserves it. I mean, he hasn't skipped a beat. Honestly, I was super impressed with his positioning in a lot of the fights and how he was the first one in, tanking up a lot of the damage before the heroes started to get their items, and how he was able to scout out. Just Boom really feels like if they win the lanes, being able to come back after that is way too difficult.
Yeah, for sure. It was a dominant performance, though. Not getting anywhere near enough out of that Undying lane, and then Tino, you would have to say, underperforming somewhat on the top side of the map. We'll give him some slack. He's not as familiar with the position 3 role as he is, obviously being a POS 1 over the most of his career. So we'll see what he's able to do in game number 2.
Yeah, so we'll send a short break. When we come back, more of Boom up against Execration.